Alright,
How's it going?
I'm Sarah and he's James and we're the Hold or Nothing.
In this episode, we're giving you a rundown of our 10 worst travel experiences that we have had so far.
They range from the downright hilarious to we nearly died. So yeah, maybe try and learn from a few of them before you set off on your travels.
We haven't been travelling for very long. We've been in Argentina and we've been to Chile, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
Those are the first two countries that we visited on our first year of travel. Just to set the scene a little bit, if you don't know, the buses in Argentina and Chile are really pretty luxurious, right?
Yeah, they're nice.
You get recliner seats, you get food, there are toilets, there's TVs, sometimes there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
A lot of the journeys in these countries are pretty long, 25, 30 hours, but we actually start to enjoy them because the buses are that nice that you can just kick back, relax, and it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can normally get a decent night's sleep and
Absolutely.
yeah, it's fine.
But then we crossed over into Bolivia. We'd never been to Bolivia before. We went on a tour of the salt flats, and then after that we were getting a bus further up north. For some reason we just booked the cheapest one that we could find.
Yeah.
We'd done no research, we literally just bought these tickets, they were really cheap, and we got on the bus. It was completely different to Argentina, it was completely different to the buses in Chile. Not a shred of luxury on this bus, right? So there was no toilets, and it was something like a 20-hour bus journey.
Yeah, it was an overnight one anyway, so it was long enough that you needed a toilet.
Yeah, there was no food, there was barely a seat to sit on. Honestly, there were babies led down sleeping in the aisles, there were people just sat everywhere crammed onto seats.
Yeah.
It was chaos.
I seem to remember that there were chickens as well. There were chickens on there, weren't
I think
there?
there were chickens on the bus.
Some kinds of animal that smell horrific to start with.
Yeah. But we thought that we'd make the most out of a bad situation, so we decided to kick back. We took off our shoes, reclined our seats the half inch that they could go back, and we just thought, we'll go to sleep for the night. Just as we were settling in, I started closing my eyes. I felt this warm sensation on my right foot. It kept growing and building, and then it spread to my left foot, and I looked down and I realised that there was a river flowing from behind me. Then the smell came, and it was urine.
Yep.
Instead of calling the bus driver and saying, can I get off for a wee, some grot bag decided that because there was no toilet, they were just going to do it on the floor. They were just going to take a piss on the floor. And it ended up on my socks.
Yeah, that wasn't an enjoyable journey, was it?
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Especially not after that.
So we were in China and we'd just come off a sleeper train and it hadn't been the cleanest of journeys, shall we say. For example, when we got on, they hadn't cleaned the beds, had they?
No.
So they were just like, obviously, what the last occupants of the beds had had. And the toilets were... So they were squat toilets, and let's just say people had some aiming issues of the number 2 variety. It was pretty disgusting in there. And on a moving train as well, you're having to squat, go to the toilet and avoid shit on the floor. It's just, yeah. It was pretty horrible. And it was quite a long journey as well, wasn't it?
It was.
Obviously we had a bed, we were on there like a good 20 hours or so. So yeah, it was no surprise that one of us got sick. It was me, got a stomach bug, and I was already feeling quite sick by the time we got to where we were going, but I'd managed to hold it in. We got on a bus, I think, or a taxi or something anyway, got to the hostel, and we were just checking in. I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be fine, like I just need to rest, and then my stomach just exploded out of my mouth, all over the reception. It's just projectile vomit everywhere.
It was grim.
It was really bad, wasn't it? There was just no stopping it, it just came out with such a force. I think because I was trying to hold it in, it made it even worse. But I feel so bad as well because just at the side of the reception there were some guests just tucking into their breakfast. So yeah, it was just an all-round bad situation. We were in Bangkok and we used to stay in hostels quite a lot back then. I don't know if it was exactly a party hostel, was it?
It was. It was virtually on Khao San Road.
Oh, yeah, no, it was. Okay. In the dorm room there was 8 beds, I think, and there was us 2 and then another 6 English lads that were all in the same group. So we'd been out, you know, a bit of partying, obviously went out all night. And we got back I don't know, quite late, maybe like 1, 2, something like that anyway. Went to sleep. These lads came back in much later, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, absolutely hammered, like pissed off their faces. We'd already been asleep, so obviously we'd got woken up by them. And they were just shouting, generally making a load of noise. Anyway, they eventually calmed down, but one of the música was really, really drunk. He started shouting in Spanish, didn't he? He was going, silencio por favor, but there was no one else talking except him, so it was all a bit strange. Anyway, I think he'd taken some drugs or something, one of his friends said, so he was hallucinating and stuff. They managed to calm him down, everyone was kind of going back to sleep again. By the way, we were on bunk beds, so I was on the top bunk, Jay was on the bottom bunk, and this guy that was having an absolute nightmare of a night was on the bunk directly opposite me on the top bunk. So then he starts shouting at me, Daisy, 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 and his mates are like, that's not Daisy, shut up, please be quiet, we're all trying to go to sleep. And he just carries on for ages, so I just put my earphones in, pulled my mask over my face and just turned over, faced the wall, and was just ignoring him and just going back to sleep basically. A few minutes later, I felt something stroking my hair, like this. So I turned over and it's this guy, he's there at the side of my bed, calling me Daisy, stroking my hair. But that wasn't even the worst of it, he was absolutely stark bollock naked.
So while it was pretty bad for Sarah because she was woken up, someone stroking her hair, which is quite weird, I think I got the worst end of the deal there, waking up with a wanger waving in my face. Yeah, we didn't sleep indoors for a while after that. Something that you always have to be aware of when you're travelling is scams, and there are plenty of these the world over. Pretty much in every country there's a different variation of the same thing. Fortunately, we've never really fallen prey to any scams. We've had a couple people try them on us, but they've never actually worked. And this was one of those occasions when it came pretty close. We were somewhere in Colombia in a bus station waiting for a bus, and we were just wandering through the bus station to go and get some food. We were a couple of metres apart. I don't know whether we'd had a bit of a disagreement about which direction we were going or something like that. I was behind Sarah, and I saw this guy come up and actually squirt something on her leg. I'm pretty certain that this guy didn't know that we were together because we were walking 2 or 3 metres apart. So I shouted at Sarah to say what I'd just seen happen, and the guy basically just took off, didn't he?
Yeah.
He
I didn't
ran
see
away.
him. I didn't see him at all.
This scam is actually a really common one, and it's called the mustard scam. The basic premise of it is that someone squirts something on you, mustard. In Sarah's case, it was actually liquid foundation, and then they try and help you clean it up. So they'll get a tissue or something like that. They'll pretend that either someone else had squirted it on you,
Like you've sat in something,
or that it was an accident. Whilst they're helping you clean it up with the tissue and causing the commotion, they or one of their accomplices will come and pickpocket or rob your bag or something like that. It's pretty much a distraction scam. Because we were walking 2 metres apart, I caught onto it really quickly.
Yeah.
But had we been walking together, who knows, it might have been a different outcome.
That's true. You were so pissed off though.
I was really angry.
You went in running around the bus station trying to find him.
Yeah, because I knew what he looked like. So I actually ran over to the police as well when I pointed him out, and the police just didn't care.
They didn't, did they?
No,
They were
not
just
at all.
like... I was pissed off as well though, because
Yeah.
it was my only pair of jeans, and it was so much, like it was all down the back of my leg, so I couldn't see it until I went into the bathroom. But I just couldn't wash it off, and it just stained all my jeans, and that's it. They were ruined. And they didn't even get anything robbed off me either, so it was just the whole thing was pointless.
So there you go. Beware of the mustard scam. This is definitely my favourite one.
It's not mine. It's because it's so recent. It's still a touchy subject.
I'm just going to put it out there. This was one of my best travel experiences ever.
So we were in Lima in Peru, and we were going for a morning run. Had our running gear on, just set off. We hadn't gone far from the Airbnb, and Jay was running a few metres in front because it was quite a narrow space. So I was a little way behind, and I just felt something warm. Well, not more than warm. It was like hot water. It felt like that someone had like thrown off a balcony maybe or something, and it was just all over my face. So I shouted to him. And you stopped and turned around, didn't you?
I heard it. I heard it. That's how much there was.
And then the smell hit me, and I realised that it wasn't just water. And I couldn't understand what it was because it just smelled so bad. You weren't even saying anything, you were just laughing your head off. Anyway, it turns out it was bird shit. The bird must have just been absolutely ginormous because there was so much of it. Like, it was all over my hair, all over my face, my top, my legs, my trainers, everything. I was absolutely covered in the stuff. And it just smelled so bad that I just started retching, didn't I? Just there in the street, just like, what? And there were some bin men over the road, weren't there, that saw the whole thing. They were just absolutely creasing.
They found it as funny as me.
Oh, it was so bad. I'm like, I've got to go back. And you were just like, you couldn't even doing anything, you were just laughing.
I was done. I did film it though.
You did, yeah. Got back to the place. I'd started being sick by this stage. I was just thrown up in the gutter as we were walking back. Managed to get my clothes off, got in the shower. I was still being sick in the shower. This is how bad the smell was. I've never smelled anything like that in my life.
Oh no, it was vile.
It was really bad. Maybe it's because it was on me as well. And I was just like, is it in my mouth? Is it in my eyes? Like, oh, no, really bad.
During our first year of travel, before we'd set up the blog, we weren't earning any money, and before we were working at all, we were pretty tight because, well, we were on a budget basically.
Yeah, we were.
So we'd gone a few months and Sarah hadn't had a haircut, you know, didn't get her nails done, anything like that, the usual stuff that she used to do in England. So her hair was, I don't know, was it long? A little bit?
It was quite long, yeah. Probably about as long as it is now, but
Yeah.
it's just that it hadn't been cut for ages.
There we go, split ends, something like that.
Yeah. Thanks.
We arrived in Phnom Penh in Cambodia, and it's quite strange actually. In quite a lot of Southeast Asia, they've got these outdoor barbers, so it's almost like a street market, but it's full of people that cut your hair.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly for men, right? So they generally do it with clippers, and it's only ever guys that I've seen in them.
Yeah.
So Sarah asked one of these guys if they cut women's hair. He's like, yeah, no problem, I can do that. Take a seat. So Sarah sat down, she asked how much it would be. The guy said, don't worry about that, you can just decide what you want to pay me afterwards. Sounds like a pretty good deal, right? Within about the first 2 seconds of watching this haircut, I knew that it was not going to be a good one. The guy pulled all of her hair back like this, got it into a bunch and literally just snipped. Which, for anyone that knows anything about hairdressing, that is not how you cut someone's hair.
I was thinking in my head, how bad can it be? It turns out pretty bad.
Yeah, it can get pretty bad.
Yeah, I knew when he wasn't doing it in layers, it wasn't going to be straight at all.
He didn't have a clue.
Honestly, it was so bad. I remember being sat in the bar afterwards,
Yeah.
saying, like, how bad is it? Because I couldn't, it was like a tiny little mirror that he showed me it in. And he was like pushing it back, wasn't he? Going, you look so beautiful, you look so beautiful. So I couldn't actually really see like what had happened, like at the bottom of it. And you were just like, yeah, it's bad.
It's atrocious.
It was like different lengths each side, and then it was longer at the back than the front, wasn't it?
It was an asymmetrical mullet, I think is the technical term for it.
Luckily, you did quite a good job of tidying it up, shall we say?
I tried my best. It ended up pretty short.
Yeah, it was like here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it was the shortest I've ever had my hair, just because you tried to make it something like.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I gave him in the end.
I think you paid him pretty well, actually.
Yeah, I think I gave him something like $5 or something.
Yeah,
You were
which
like,
in Cambodia it goes a long way.
yeah. I mean, he might have just thought, great, it's cracking. I'm gonna get everyone in now.
It's a new style.
Target lost.
Now, on the off chance that you don't really know who we are, we're actually professional travellers. We're travel bloggers, right? We've got a blog called The Whole World or Nothing, same name as this channel, and we write about travel, we travel full time, and we've been doing that for years and years and years. For some reason, Sarah has no sense of direction, absolutely none. She's the worst traveller in the world when it comes to finding places.
Easy.
It's
when
true,
it comes
isn't
to
it?
finding places, okay.
She'll be looking on Google Maps, and you know it's got the blue dot, and it tells you which direction to go. We end up going in opposite direction. Absolutely ridiculous stuff like that happens on a regular basis. Literally no sense of direction.
We were in Mexico City, and we were actually there for quite a long time. We were there about 3 months, And this was probably a month into it. We had Spanish lessons set up. We'd already been going to them a few weeks. It was about half an hour walk was the school from where we were staying, from the Airbnb. So in theory, I should have known where we were going because I've been going every day for the last few weeks.
Every day.
Should have been quite straightforward. In my defence, this one day it was raining really bad, like really a lot of rain. And I was trying to follow you down the street, but it was quite crowded. Everyone had umbrellas up, and you crossed a road. Then I fell down, which is also something that happens to me quite a lot because I don't pay attention properly. So yeah, I fell as I was crossing the road. I think I nearly actually got run over because someone helped me like to get up, but there was a bus coming. It was all very chaotic anyway. And then I made it across the other side, and then I didn't know where you'd gone, and I didn't know my way. And it turns out I think you went left and I went straight over.
No, I went straight over and you went right.
Right, well.
That's the point.
I just got completely lost. And I don't think you realised for a little while that I wasn't there, did you? Like,
no.
It was a few minutes. So you turned around and were like, oh great, where is she? And you didn't know exactly when I'd got lost. So did you just carry on to the school, didn't you? Because we weren't far, were we?
No, I thought the best idea, just carry on to the school. We're probably about 5 minutes away at that stage. And Sarah will turn up.
I just got more and more lost. Like, I just had no idea where I was. I couldn't recognise anything. And I was trying to call him, but because I didn't have an umbrella, I just had my raincoat on. I couldn't like hold my phone so that it wasn't getting wet. And my hands were wet, my phone was wet. I just couldn't like scroll to anything to manage to even call you. And I was getting quite panicked because we were late as well by that stage, or I was. And then I managed to find like a little like doorway kind of thing, and I did manage to call you, and I think you directed me, and I did get there in the end, but it was something like 45 minutes later. It was ridiculous because I'd gone like completely in the other direction, and yeah, I just can't be trusted with directions to get anywhere.
This one's genuinely one of the scariest things I think that has ever happened to us.
Yeah.
And probably one of only a couple of times in the whole time that we've been travelling that I've really seriously been scared for our lives, basically.
Yeah, it was a bad one, was this. And looking back, it was more serious than it felt at the time as well. We were in Laos and we'd booked to go on a trek for 3 days. So the first night we were staying in the jungle camping, and then the second night we stayed in a village in a shaman's house. So this was the first night. We'd set off and it was relatively alright, the weather, wasn't it? It was quite dry.
Blue skies, yeah.
And as we started the hike, as it got later in the day, it started raining and it started raining more, and we had got quite close to where we were camping. We had to go down this really long muddy slope, and it just got muddier and muddier as we went down, didn't it, as the rain got worse and worse.
It was rainy season.
Yeah, it was.
So it was kind of like monsoon rain,
Yeah.
which is, you know, the sky just empties itself all at one time.
It wasn't like trickling a little bit.
No.
We made it to the camp, didn't we? Got set up and everything. It was kind of waterproof because I think he had some tarpaulin or something that he put up underneath or over the top of the banana leaves that we had or something. Anyway, it was alright. We still got wet, didn't we? And like we woke up in the morning with like frogs and stuff like in our sleeping area.
Our sleeping bags were soaking. It wasn't waterproof at all. But we had to build the camp ourselves. So
Yeah, that's
kind
true.
of our fault.
Yeah. Just as it started to get light, we were awake anyway, but our guide woke us up and was like, get your shit together, we've got to go now, because basically the river that we had to cross, and we didn't know this, he hadn't told us this the night before, that we were crossing a river, had like quadrupled in size. It was absolutely massive. It was a little stream the day before compared to what it was the next morning. So we got our stuff on and tried to cross this river, and it was bloody horrendous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You could tell that the guide was genuinely shitting himself as well, which is never reassuring. And there were two guides. They had our main guide and then a porter that was carrying all the cooking equipment and stuff. And they were both quite short, weren't they? One of them was shorter than the other. The porter was really quite short. He was like up to about here on me. And the river was up to his neck. Like, I do not know to this day how he didn't get swept away.
Yeah.
Like for us it was like here, and it was like really pulling at us. We had like sticks and stuff to try and balance ourselves to get across, and we were all kind of like in a chain holding onto each other so that it was just a bit stronger. But oh man, it was so scary. If we'd have got swept away, that would have been it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there was just so many rocks, and like even if you were a pretty strong swimmer, it was awful. And we couldn't go back up the other way because it was muddy when we were coming down.
We barely made it down.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
that muddy. It was so slippery.
You just wouldn't have been able to climb back up. So yeah, be careful if you're going hiking in Laos in rainy season.
No.
I mentioned earlier that we'd never really fallen prey to a scam, but this is probably the closest that we've actually come to falling prey to a scam. We were on our way to the Great Wall of China and we decided that we were going to go to a lesser visited bit, so it was less tourists and a bit out of the way. It was a bit more difficult to get to.
Yeah.
But we'd done all the research, we'd asked a few people as well, and they told us that you need to get this bus. I think we had to change once, and it took us all the way to the wall. We were the only tourists on the bus, and we were talking about where to get off, but we weren't 100% sure. We had an idea, but we didn't know exactly which stop it was that we needed. As we were having this discussion, someone tapped on our shoulder and told us that the next stop that was coming up, this was the stop that we needed to get off at. We assumed they just overheard us having that conversation, and the guy spoke a little bit of English, I think. He told us in English that we needed to get off the bus.
Yeah.
So we followed him off.
And the thing is, everyone up to this point has been really, really helpful in China because, well, we don't speak the language.
Yeah.
And everyone had just genuinely helped us wherever we needed to go, whenever we looked a little bit lost or something. So there was no reason for us to think that this person was just being anything other than helpful.
Yeah.
Wasn't the case.
As soon as we got off the bus, we realised that we were not in the right place. And the guy turned from a friendly, helpful stranger into a taxi driver, and he said that basically we were nowhere near the wall and we needed to get in his taxi in order to get there.
Yeah, the bus had pulled off, by the way, at this stage, so that wasn't, getting back on that wasn't an option.
And the buses were only one every hour or one every 2 hours,
Yeah, there
something
wasn't,
like that. They
there
were
wasn't
really
a lot.
infrequent.
You were livid, weren't you?
I was so angry. I don't tend to get too angry, but when I get angry, I get mad. I ended up having to walk away, actually.
Yeah, and then he was trying to talk to me, and he was like, you talk to your husband and explain to him. I was like, dude, you talk to him if you want to talk to him.
So we figured out later that what had happened was he'd got on the bus. There were two doors on the bus, one in front of us and one behind us, and pretended that he'd been on the bus the whole time. And that's when he tapped us and told us we needed to get off. He wanted to charge us a really extortionate amount to get in his taxi to the Great Wall of China. I can't remember how much it was, but I don't think we even had that amount of money.
No, it was a lot.
It was a lot. And even if we had, I would never have paid it.
Yeah.
I think Sarah might have been tempted.
You were like, even if it's £1, I aren't paying you. I mean, you probably didn't understand half the stuff you were ranting on about.
I hope he didn't. Rather than get in that taxi, I got on my high horse and I decided that we were going to walk to the Great Wall of China.
I was looking on the map and I was like, it's like over an hour's walk away still. And
I
he was
don't
like,
care.
You were just like storming off down the street. I was like, well, let's try and ask someone because, you know, if we do need to get a cab, at least like get a different one, not this one, like something like that. So we'd asked a couple of people, hadn't we? Like, and they just, well, they didn't speak English.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they couldn't help us. They
were
didn't know
friendly.
what we were saying. Yeah. And then we eventually came across some school kids, didn't we? And they did speak English. And oh my gosh, the lad that helped us was just the sweetest guy. So he not only called us a cab and negotiated the price, he came with us in the cab. He was on his lunch break as well and made sure that we got out the other end okay, got to the entrance okay, refused to take any money for the cab. I think he was 15, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
And we were like, do you not need to get to school? Like, you know, and he was like, no, it's fine. And he was like just happy, chatting, practicing English with us, and yeah, just genuinely one of the nicest people I think we've ever met on our travels.
Without a doubt. Absolute legend. His name was Kevin. If you're watching, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thanks. I don't know who this one was more embarrassing for, us or the taxi driver actually, but we'd got in a taxi in Bolivia and we were on our way from our hotel to the bus station to go to our next destination, and we'd ordered an Uber. The guy picked us up. It was quite a small car, so we'd put our backpacks in the front passenger seat and they like squashed together and we were in the back, and he was just about to set off and this really weird noise started, like a buzzing noise. So he got back out of the car and he was checking all the doors, checking the boot, checking everything, his mirrors, like he didn't understand where it was coming from. So he got back in and he was like turned his engine on and off, pulling all different kinds of buttons and stuff, and he was just like, it's really strange, like why has my car just started making that noise? We'll just go. So we set off and we were just like, nothing to do with us, not our car. And then Joe realised, just from the noise, didn't you, that it was your hair clippers. So you said to him, oh, it's something in my bag, don't worry about it. Because he was like proper stressing, wasn't he, that there was a fault with his car or something.
As you would be.
Well, yeah,
It's
of
a
course.
strange noise.
So he was like, ah, okay, fine. And then we sat there a little bit in silence, and then we both realised at the same time, as he did, I think, that is that a vibrator? Because that is exactly what it sounded like. So you then started trying to explain to him that it was actually your hair clippers and not what we all thought it was. And I don't even know why, but you knew the Spanish word for vibrator. I think we'd learned it in class.
Yeah, our Spanish teacher had sent us a joke earlier that week that included that word, the Spanish for vibrator, so I knew it.
So we tried to explain to him that that's not what it was your hair clippers, and I don't even know if he believed it, because it was one of those things where, you know, like you try to over-explain it and then like someone's like, yeah, what did he say? So yeah, that was a good one. Didn't turn it off. It was somewhere like deep in the bottom of your bag, wasn't it? So we drove the whole way there to the bus station, all a little bit uncomfortable.
And got on the bus with it like that as well.
Did you? You just left it?
Yeah. So there we have it. That is our 10 worst travel experiences so far. We're pretty sure that there's a few more in store for us to come, but now we want to hear about yours. So drop us a comment down below and tell us what your worst travel experience that you've had so far is.
Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video, and press the alarm bell thing so that it tells you next time we post a video, and we'll see you then. See ya.
Bye.